The very next day after I did that interview, they added me to this secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. And I was going through in-depth screening day after day after day. Every time I flew, it would take me an hour to get through TSA. I get the quad S on my boarding pass, couldn't check in online. It was like the full thing.
So here we are today with Tulsi Gabbard being interviewed by Dr. Phil on Dr. Phil Prime Time. And this is a very recent interview. As you probably know, Tulsi Gabbard has been tapped by President-elect Donald Trump to serve as the Director of National Intelligence. And of course, this has caused all sorts of seething, gnashing of teeth, wailing amongst the usual suspects. All the people, who you would expect to not like Tulsi Gabbard's appointment as Director of National Intelligence, they're all seething. And as somebody once said, she's got all the right enemies. And I think she certainly has all the right enemies. If all those people hate her so much and are accusing her of being a Russian asset and all that stuff, that's still going on, by the way. Then, as far as I'm concerned, she is the perfect pick. Let's see where this interview goes.
What pushed it off of what it was when you were enthralled with it, when you said, this is my home? What pushed it off of that?
Point where I saw and felt a major shift was when President Trump ran for office in 2016. I think it was already kind of starting to move in that direction, like I said, with President Obama. It was 2013 at that time. They weren't interested in having Democrats who disagreed with the president, which was problematic in and of itself. And we saw the same under Republicans under President Bush, that they wouldn't go against their president, even if they knew that his policy was wrong. We don't want blind followers of any political party. But the shift in President Trump's election was very significant, where all of a sudden, if any member disagreed with the Democrat Party, you were told, well, if you don't go along with us, then you're supporting Trump. You're supporting this dictator, they said, this fascist, and all of the names that they threw out there. They threw out the Russia hoax. There were all of these different tactics that they were using to try to force this total compliance, really through fear-mongering.
And this Russia thing, that splashed up on you.
Yes, it did.
Where did that come from?
It came from this, I was going to say it came from Hillary Clinton. She was certainly the most high-profile person to push it.
Oh, just looking at Hillary Clinton's picture makes me so glad she is never going to be president of the United States. Oh, yes, Hillary. You've been wanting it for decades, but it's never going to be yours.
But really, when you look now over time, it's something that comes from their tried and true playbook, where anyone, because it's Donald Trump, it's Bobby Kennedy, it's me, it's, even Elon Musk, they're trotting it out right now in this election. They did it with the Hunter Biden laptop. It is the excuse that they use to try to discredit a person or information that they don't want voters to hear from or to see or be exposed to.
And they came after you hard. They were coming, spy, this, that. What was your reaction when you realized there's a campaign here to paint me with this brush?
Yeah. I had heard this stuff before. What surprised me was the day that I announced my candidacy for president. That week leading up to it, we had heard from NBC News. They were asking some questions about, my associations with Russia or whatever. I've never been to Russia. I've never met Putin. I don't know what exactly they were talking about. And NBC News came out with this hit piece literally as I was walking up on the stage to deliver my speech. And it was a hit piece that planted the seeds for this, there are some suspicious or potential nefarious associations with Russia or whatever it was. But that's what the article was about. They bumped it up so that it was released on the date. And that's kind of what showed the hand of, okay, well, this is, the legacy propaganda media of NBC is in on it. And then it started coming from a lot of different directions. And then Hillary Clinton brought it in. And it's so insane on its face because none of them asked Hillary Clinton for evidence or proof. And the thing that that bothered me the most was that people believed this. And not a single one of them said like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm still serving in the military today. I've been in for over 21 years. Not a single one of them said, hey, this is a member of Congress on the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee who has access to the highest level of security briefings, who still wears the uniform and is serving our country. Hillary Clinton, how can you call this person an asset of Russia or a puppet of Russia?
Yeah, it seems not only is it an outlandish accusation to make, but if you're going to make that sort of accusation against a sitting congressman, congresswoman, much less against someone who, just as she said, has a very high security access and serves in the armed forces, you better bring the proof. And why didn't everybody demand proof immediately? You know, the Democrats, the Republicans, the armed forces, you know, why they should have all have demanded proof immediately. You know, put up or shut up, basically.
Where's your proof? Because if you got proof, you better show it, because if that's true, then I shouldn't have access to any of this stuff.
Well, no.
It never, ever happened. I know why, but the problem was, and I had numerous interactions with voters as I was running for president who believed her. And they were so, like, great Americans who believed her. And when they met me, were so deeply troubled and concerned by this. This one woman in South Carolina, I remember very clearly, she's a local county chair of this very small rural Democrat party. We had like a town hall and a little barbecue shack in the middle of nowhere. And she came out to me with her eyes welled up with tears, and she put her hands on my shoulders and told me how troubled she was to hear this. And she looked into my eyes. She said, Tulsi, are you working for Russia? And it just broke my heart to see the effect of their propaganda and how damaging it is, I mean, really to our democracy. That instead of us having a conversation of her saying, hey, let's talk about your policy on healthcare. Let's talk about your policy and position on education. They plant these seeds in order to make it so that people are suspicious. And, you know, I gave her a hug and I told her I'm willing to give my life for my country, this country. The problem was I couldn't have that face-to-face conversation and that hug with every single person who had heard Hillary Clinton's lies.
You're a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, I'm a lieutenant colonel and a battalion commander in the Army Reserve.
And did they ever come to you and say, we need to do some kind of investigation or some?
Never.
They never said anything?
Never. And even most recently, in kind of one of the latest acts of political retaliation under the Harris-Biden administration, the very next day after I criticized Kamala Harris in a live TV interview and warned the American people, as I did back in 2019 when she was running for president, I warned the American people about how dangerous she would be as commander-in-chief, about how she would try to mask her insecurity and her weakness and try to appear strong as a commander-in-chief and prove her strength by using our military to accomplish that and needlessly putting people's lives at risk.
It's just outrageous, isn't it? These establishment politicians all across the West, not just in the United States, but also here in Europe, where I live, they are constantly railing on, especially now. They're railing on about disinformation, misinformation. TikTok is spreading disinformation. Just recently, for those of you who might be following European politics, in Romania, for example, just a few days ago, they had presidential elections. To be fair, their president is pretty much a figurehead, but still. And a complete dark horse candidate took the biggest share of the vote. And all the other mainstream establishment parties in Romania are freaking out. They're saying, you know, that, I mean, basically it seems like he won because he used TikTok very effectively. You know, he got his message out on TikTok. People saw it, liked him, voted for him. And all the usual suspects in Romania, but it's happening in other countries, immediately come out and say, oh, everything, he's being paid by Russia. He, you know, he did well on TikTok because Russia manipulated the algorithm to push his videos to more people. oh, he's a fascist. It's all the usual stuff. He's a Nazi sympathizer, fascist sympathizer. He, he wants to leave the European Union. Well, I don't know if he does or not. I think that would be a good thing, but whatever. Everything that they think is bad, they're flinging it at this guy. And it is amazing to watch. I talked to a Romanian friend just yesterday or 2 days ago who said he didn't vote for this guy, but he was outraged by the immediate, visceral response by the establishment, by the scumbags establishment in Romania, who apparently act very much like the scumbag establishment in the United States and very much like the scumbag establishment in the European country where I live, when a vaguely nationalist or populist party comes to the fore. This just happened in Belgium, too, earlier this year. A Flemish nationalist party did very well in the elections, and all the establishment parties are trying to refuse to work with them because in Belgium they have to create a government coalition, to form a government. But the Nationalist Party in Belgium, the Flemish Nationalist Party, got such a big share of the vote that in some places they're going to have to work with them, these other scumbag parties. So these dirty tricks go on everywhere. Of course, America takes it to a whole new level, as it does in everything. And it's just outrageous. And especially when you look at Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, she can speak. I mean, for God, supposedly Democrats had actually run her instead of that idiot Kamala Harris. They probably would have won. They probably would have won. Or they certainly would have had a good chance, because contrast and compare Tulsi Gabbard versus brain dead Kamala Harris. There is absolutely no comparison. This is like a 40-minute interview. She's talking without notes. She's asking or answering the questions very lucidly, directly, not stumbling over her words. She knows what she's talking about. She's been a congresswoman for years and years now. She's an army officer at a high level, so she knows how to give information she knows how to express it in a way which is clear and concise, gets her point across. She's not hideously unlikable like Kamala Harris. But no, the Democrats have gone so far off the rails that Tulsi Gabbard has now had to leave the Democratic Party. Their loss, screw them. So let me know what you think of all this. This kind of thing, I mean, I know I'm focusing on American politics a lot recently because of the election, but where America goes, Europe goes. And as I said, we just saw it in Romania just a couple days ago, and we saw it in Belgium earlier this year. And looks like in Germany, the Nationalist Party, the AfD, is also doing very well. There's even talk now of Germany, the German authorities, I'm not sure who exactly, want to ban the AfD in Germany because they're doing too well. Because, democracy is great, except when the people vote for the wrong party. That's basically the message here. That's what's happening in Europe. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now. As usual, I noticed that a lot of you who watch these videos have not subscribed. So if you're watching and if you like this content, please do subscribe and like. It really helps the algorithm realize that people are liking this content, and it'll push it out to more people. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.